President Trump posted this a few hours ago, which is this is such a huge roller coaster because we went up and then we came back down again immediately, right? So President Trump posted this saying the terms that Iran leaked. So for people who might not know, President Trump recently came out and saying they're very close to an agreement and everything is been finalized and they're going to meet in Europe maybe even this weekend and everything is being finalized, right? So the Islamic Republic came out with the list of basically they also said yep, this is happening. And the Mehr News, which is a news organization in Iran associated with the supreme leadership, came out and gave a list of what is in that agreement, okay, which is crazy. And nobody can believe that that's actually nobody should believe that this is the agreement. So let me just read to you what Mehr News Agency is saying. Okay, so this is details of a 14-article draft memorandum of understanding between Iran and the United States accepted by the Trump administration are as below. One, a permanent and immediate cessation of war on all fronts, including Lebanon. Two, a commitment by the United States to a non interference in Iran's internal affairs and respect for the sovereignty of the Islamic Republic of Iran. Three, complete lifting of the naval blockade within 30 days. Four, a commitment by the United States to withdraw its forces from the periphery of Iran. Five, reopening of the Strait of Hormuz in the Persian Gulf within 30 days under Iranian agreements, within Iranian arrangements. Six, suspension of sanctions on the sale of oil, petrochemical products, and derivatives, alongside full Iranian access to its financial resources. Seven, the requirement for the United States and its allies to present reconstruction plans for Iran totaling at least $300 billion. Okay. Eight, a 60-day negotiation period to reach a final agreement based on nuclear issues and the complete lifting of primary, secondary, and U.S. sanctions, as well as a UN Security Council and IAEA Board of Governors resolutions. Sure. Okay, where were we? Nine, reiteration of Iran's commitment under the NPT regarding the non-production of nuclear weapons. 10, remember this part. We're going to come back to it. 10, during the negotiation period, the United States commits not to add to its forces in the region and will not impose new sanctions. 11, release of $24 billion of Iran's frozen funds during the 60-day final negotiation period. Half of this amount must be accessible to Iran before the start of the negotiations. 12, establishment of a supervisory mechanism to implement the agreement. 13, the final agreement will be endorsed by a UN Security Council resolution. 14, last one, final negotiations will not begin before the release of half of Iran's frozen funds, the suspension of Iranian oil sanction, and the lifting of the naval blockade. The final agreement will be conducted solely regarding the fate of enriched materials and enrichment the enrichment, the lifting of sanctions, and Iran's economic reconstructions program. Discussion and discussion regarding Iran's missile program and support for resistance groups has been. Wait, hold on. Get this right. Oh, okay. And been definitively removed from the agenda. Can't pronounce that until I hear it again. Definitively moved from the agenda. Okay, so that sounds like an insane wish list of the Islamic Republic that Mehr News, associated with the supreme leadership, is saying that this is the draft of the MOU that Trump has accepted. Sounds delusional to me. I have a lot more to add, but let me just tell you what President Trump said about this. President Trump said two things about this. First one, President Trump posted this. He's saying, this is just from a few hours ago. The terms that Iran leaked out to the fake news have nothing to do with the terms that were agreed to in writing. What they said, including their weak and pathetic statement on having a deal, bears no relation to the truth. Very dishonorable people to deal with. With them, there is no such thing as dealing in good faith. Amazing. Also, their totally rebuffed drone attack last night against Indian ships leaving the Hormuz Strait is totally unacceptable in all caps. They better get their act together and fast. President Donald J. Trump. So that was the first post. And then another post. So we were like, ooh, President Trump is angry with the Islamic Republic. But in the second post, and then after this, I get to, even though I have like updates enough to fill out 2 hours, I'm just going to let you guys speak because I've already spoken a lot. Then President Trump posted a picture with no caption of Araghchi's tweet, Sayed Abbas Araghchi's tweet, basically suggesting that, yes, this, okay? I will tell you what I think of this, but you guys could talk about it. So President Trump just screenshotted Araghchi's post and just posted it on Truth Social with no caption. And Araghchi was saying this in his tweet, saying, the Islamabad Memorandum of Understanding has never been closer. So he's confirming that they also think that they're very close to an MOU, just like President Trump is saying. But then he continues, pending its finalization, the media should refrain from entering speculations about its content. In line with our responsible and transparent approach, all details will be shared with the public in due course. And President Trump just posted this. Basically, President Trump is saying, don't trust the media about what they're telling you about the MOU. And Araghchi also saying that don't trust the media about what they're telling you about the MOU. And President Trump posted what Araghchi is saying. This has many people upset, many anti-regime people upset, saying that, why are you posting Araghchi as like, yes, I agree with this, right? Let me stop talking because I'm already late and I want to hear what you guys have to say. But are there any twos in the chat? How many, like, I do want you guys to put twos in the chat because I'm really interested in what you guys have to say. So yeah, I see BT.
So far we have Jeffrey and Richard. Jeffrey, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, that's absolutely delusional. I mean, they might as well ask things like Godzilla to rub one out on them, have gumdrops fall from the sky. I mean, it's fucking bananas.
Okay.
Right? That's absolutely bananas. And I promise you that's not what the fuck was said behind closed doors at all. I don't know what else to say. It's just that fucking crazy.
Okay. That's as close to Jeffrey being speechless as we've ever seen. And I think it's so appropriate. Okay, next up we have Richard.
Thanks. I think just to add to that insanity slightly, Armin will probably mention it later, but you should know that there was at least one prominent hardliner who posted basically in response to that wish list and said it was completely unacceptable, pro-American. I think he even said similar to the JCPOA. So even that wasn't good enough for, the Paidari camp, apparently. I did also want to mention, I'm not trying to be pessimistic here, but I'm just going from the history. The only modern comparison I can see to what's going on with the negotiations, unfortunately, is the negotiations that Trump had with the Taliban during his first term. And I do think that he had agreed to some things that were very problematic and that Biden claimed he was basically bound to during the fiasco when they withdrew from Afghanistan after Biden was elected. I'm praying that that's not the case here and that, they're not going to give up anything to problematic. But I think that that is the only history of Trump, negotiating with a known adversary, comparing it to the result we got there. So I just wanted to bring that up.
Okay, next we have Jose.
Whew. After those two, I feel like a little bit out of whack. But Harmon, I think we just have to wait and see what's going to happen, what actually is the deal, because obviously Arachi and Trump didn't say what was in it or not. But we know that if he did, that other piece of news that was sent to Israel or to Bibi, that you're going to like the deal. I'm paraphrasing, longer than that. I think that says enough right there that maybe that's why Arachi didn't clarify what was in the deal. I mean, after all, he's a dead man one way or the other.
Okay, Armin, it's next you and then me. Do you want me to save you for last?
I'll put another two for after you, because I'll just the two news that Richard and Jose referred to. Let me just read them. So Richard is very correct. So that insane delusional list that came from Mehr News from within the Islamic Republic, the Paidari camp is coming out and saying that is unacceptable because it doesn't go far enough. So remember how I told you there was part of it. So which one was it? So number 9. So number 9, reiteration of Iran's commitment under the NPT regarding the non-production of nuclear weapons. So the Paidari camp is coming out and saying, what the fuck? That we should be able, we have the right to have nuclear weapons. Like, this is not in favor of the Islamic Republic enough. And they're saying, just like Americans are worried about another JCPOA, the Paidari camp is also worried about another JCPOA because the Paidari camp thinks that the JCPOA was too pro-American. So you know how in the President Trump administration, everyone were like, oh, the JCPOA was the worst deal. The Durka people, I agree, for a completely different reason. So the JCPOA is constantly used in the United States as something that should be avoided. And the very, hardline religious people, pro-regime people in the Islamic Republic also think like, yeah, it should be avoided. Like, they use that as an example for what they shouldn't be doing. So in America, the JCPOA was too pro-Islamic Republic and not in favor of the United States. So that's why it should be avoided. But from the Paidari camp's perspective, the JCPOA is something that should be avoided because it was too pro-American and not enough in favor of the Islamic Republic. So they both agree, but for completely different reasons, right? So Mahmoud Nabavian, which we keep talking about, and we will probably talk about more. By the way, we should love this guy because everybody from the Paidari camp is helping us out, cause more division within the Islamic Republic. They are such a huge headache to the Islamic Republic right now. And honestly, I hope that if we get more cutlets from the Israeli attacks, they don't touch any of these people, because these people are really a pain in the ass right now for the Islamic Republic. Everybody from the Paidari camp. So let me read what this guy's saying. So Mahmoud Abavian, 3 things you need to know about him. He's a member of parliament. He's part of the Paidari camp. Also, he was part of the delegation team that traveled to Islamabad with Ghalibaf, right? So he's saying, so here, Mahmoud Nabavian, a member of the Islamic Republic's parliament, criticized the draft of a potential agreement between the United States and the Islamic Republic, describing it as similar to the JCPOA and pure loss. Pure loss. So all of that delusional like stuff that we just read apparently was all pure loss for the Islamic Republic. He said talking about victory with this ambiguous and damaging text is completely wrong. Nabavian, criticizing the provisions, raised the draft agreement, said that under this agreement, the Islamic Republic would not have the right to produce nuclear weapons. He also added that the fate of enriched materials has been tied to U.S. satisfaction, and all matters related to the nuclear program must be subject to negotiation. This parliament member emphasized this agreement, like the JCPOA, is pure loss, and it's because of the changed calculations of the officials. So you need to, like, people need to really appreciate how difficult it is for the Islamic Republic to give in to any of the US demands if this is what they're dealing with, right? And also, here's some good news that Jose was responding to. US says Israel will be comfortable with Iran deal after seeing full terms. So a senior US administration official uh, said Friday Israel is expected to support a broad regional peace agreement with Iran once it sees the full terms. So guys, if Israel is going to be happy with the terms, that means it's a surrender deal, not anything else. If the Israelis are supposed are will be happy, right? Say including provisions on the destruction and removal of Iran's enriched material. Guys, if it's expected for the enriched uranium to leave Iran, that is good. That's a surrender deal. That would not be a deal that will allow the Islamic Republic to survive. If you can ask me why, if you don't know why. So this is the actual quote. When Israel sees the full terms of the deal, they will be comfortable with that, the official told reporters, adding that the administration is confident the Israelis will get on board. The official acknowledged deep mistrust surrounding the agreement, but said dissent was believed to be quite minimal, including inside Iran. This is not at all true. I don't know what this guy is saying. Quite minimal, including inside Iran, where some Iranians don't love this deal. This guy is totally wrong about that, which makes me doubt what he's saying about Israel as well. But the officials said the agreement is broad in scope, and that the sides had reached specifically on the destruction of the removal of enriched material. Here, let me see. Oh, specificity, not specifically. I misread that. Specificity on the destruction of the removed enriched material. Okay, so yeah, who's next after me?
It was me. I just had a quick kind of comment question. Trump, something that I think about with him and referencing making any deals, he has been so vocal about how horrible Obama's deals were that if we go just by his words alone, he has placed himself into the corner of corners to not negotiate with anybody. I mean, he has spoken out so strongly that it's like he would have no choice but to have them all publicly hung. So I wonder if he's going to recognize and honor that, or if he's just going to kind of talk shit and then when it comes down to it, maybe not necessarily hold that same standard to himself that he did Obama.
I mean, if he does do anything even remotely close to the JCPOA, it's undeniable that this is a defeat, right? It's really hard to see him doing anything like that, but it would become undeniable if he does that. If I know a lot of people in the chat are going to be like, Armin is not going to do that. I'm saying F, right? We did get a statement from this anchor and White House correspondents, Aisha Hasni. She just posted from this is from the White House, okay, from White House official on Iran deal. This is what the White House is saying is going to look like. See how far away we are from what the Islamic Republic is saying. So we had 14 with the description that came from the Islamic Republic. So, and we have 5 from the White House. Okay, 1, nuclear material will be destroyed and removed. Just that one alone means that this is a surrender deal. Okay, that's 1. 2, nuclear program would be dismantled. Oh my God, this is beautiful. 3, none of their money released until they perform. That, like, this has to happen if for the money to be released, which is great, because I mean, if they do those 2 things, even if they do one of them, that would be the end of it. 4, Strait of Hormuz will be open. 5, no Iran funding of terrorist groups. officials add this is what they agree to. This is a performance based deal. So there's nothing that's going to happen unless they see that happening. They see it's not based on promises, it's not based on signing agreements, it's based on observable behavior. So this is beautiful. This is if this is what they're agreeing to, this is absolutely a surrender deal. Do you guys agree that this is a surrender deal if this is what they're going to agree on? Like, I need people to understand, if the enriched uranium is destroyed and leaves Iran, and if the Islamic Republic agrees, allows the Americans be to dismantle the nuclear program, what has happened here is that Mujtaba Khamenei, the third supreme leader of the Islamic Republic, the first thing that he has done, the first significant thing that he has done is this: he has allowed the people that have killed the second supreme leader of the Islamic Republic, the people who have killed his father, he has allowed them to step foot on Iran's soil and remove the Islamic Republic's main leverage. There is no recovery from that. This is the complete loss of legitimacy. This is like you have lost your entire base of support by doing that. Like, that would be the end of the Islamic Republic if that ever happens. So if, as long as the White House keeps insisting on that, I'm happy. Also, if they keep the blockade on until like while all of this is happening. So guys, if the blockade continues, one, and two, if the Americans keep insisting on this and nothing short of this, we're good. We're very good. Even if we don't get any kinetic military operations, like zero military operations. I know we all like to see that. I know we all miss cutlets. Okay. But as long as the blockade is on, as long as the Americans continue to insist on this and nothing short of this, we're good. So I saw some more twos in the chat.
Yes, and could you remind us, please, before I do that, you and Ali had gone through kind of a timeline when we look at just the economic blockade. Are we, I assume, much further down that road than when you guys first made the timeline? How is that looking?
How is the economic blockade? Oh, how's that affecting the Islamic Republic?
Yes, yeah.
So,
I mean, less broadly, just, I mean, like I said, you guys had started kind of looking at how many days it would take for this or that. Are they like, if we keep this up, are they like 3 weeks from bankrupt? I mean, what's that kind of timeline?
so bankruptcy is already happening in so many different parts of the Islamic Republic. What we like to see is inability to pay proxies and their own forces and suppression groups, and we've already reached there. So it happened sooner than we thought. We have Hezbollah complaining that they're not getting paid. We have confirmation reports that IRGC members are not getting paid, and the Houthis were not getting paid to begin with. That's why they're MIA. And so it does seem that we have already reached the phase where the Islamic Republic is finding it difficult to keep its forces paid.
Okay, next up we have
who?
Thanks, Art,
Okay.
and thanks, BT. So on my side, my reaction was similar to Armin this morning when I saw, the conditions that the U.S. has supposedly included in the draft. Shortly after that, I did hear that Pakistan. Well, I did read that Pakistan had confirmed that the text was approved. However, in this afternoon, I'm kind of seeing the conditions supposedly from the Islamic regime also circulating, also including insane conditions, including the so-called $300 billion fund, which is apparently the reparations. And one thing that's also a bit that raises a bit of skepticism on my side, because like you, I would love the conditions in the U.S. to from the U.S. to be applicable, because I agree that signing that would be a full surrender, and I fully agree that it would it would weaken the legitimacy of the regime. However, when you look at the tone of the statements from J.D. Vance on Twitter, as well as Abbas Araghchi, you kind of hear comments such as, kind of like hinting people not to, take the speculation seriously on social media, speculation regarding the conditions of the regime. So could it be that the actual conditions could be something sort of in the middle, or because I mean, to me, if this is signed as is, with the conditions from the U.S., if it's signed like that on Sunday, I would say that's a miracle and a huge win.
Yeah, I mean, okay, let's go through everything that you said. You mentioned Pakistan, you mentioned JD Vance, and let's also look at what President Trump said regarding what they have received from the Islamic Republic. Okay, and we could judge this. Okay, so Pakistan's prime minister said on Friday that a final agreed text of a peace deal. I think they mean the memorandum, the MOU, but whatever. Text of a peace deal between Iran and the United States has been reached, adding that Islamabad is working closely with both sides to finalize the next steps. In a statement, the Pakistani premier um, said ongoing mediation efforts had brought the parties closer to an agreement, despite what he described as an ah this pronunciation. Sorry, give me a second. Incessant misinformation campaign by those seeking to sabotage the process. Setting aside then, okay, so basically the rest is unimportant. So that was the Pakistanis. Let's now look at JD Vance saying this is all going to help us figure out what's happening, right? By the way, the only thing that will help us actually figure out what's happening is to wait for the actual deal to come out and then see it, or the MOU or whatever. But the reason why, so people like, don't pay attention to what people are saying, just wait until you actually see it. The thing is that these ups and downs is actually causing its own damage on the Islamic Republic. So it is important to pay attention to what is being said even before we reach there, because the psychological effect and the infighting that it causes within the regime. So JD Vance is saying saying, I'm seeing a lot of fake information about a potential deal to reopen the strait and end Iran's nuclear weapons program. First, the Iranians are not receiving any cash and no funds are being released for simply signing a deal or attending a meeting. That's really good to hear. The deal is structured to ensure that the US and its allies' concerns are prioritized, and that if the Islamic Republic of Iran meets its obligations, then economic benefits will flow to them and to the entire region. I mean, by that time, we don't care, because if the Islamic Republic has agreed to get rid of the enriched uranium, um, honestly, it doesn't matter if they get funds or not after that. This deal has the potential to remake the region and lead to lasting peace. I've noticed a couple of bizarre things in the reporting over the last few hours. First, people who rightly said Donald Trump was a historic president a month ago now criticizing a deal based on unconfirmed media reports. Second, people who say you can't trust the word said by the IRGC, who are apparently who apparently believe anonymously sourced social media posts. The president is going to get us a good outcome one way or another. And then here's some statements from President Trump himself. US President Donald Trump says the term that Iran leaked out. Yeah, so what they've said, no, so the short version of it is Trump says Iran leaked the deal. No, there's this, it's not this one. There was another report that I showed. If I find it, I'll bring it up. Oh, here it is. There we go. I found it. Today, we settled up with Iran. We made a great deal, US President Donald Trump said during a tele rally in support of Alabama Senate candidate Barry Moore. This is important. Saying there'll be no nuclear weapons. People will start coming home very soon. It's pretty much completed. Oh, here's the part. We got everything we wanted, he said, according to NBC News. We got everything we wanted. Okay, so let's go back to you guys. Oh my god, there we go. All right, so what do you guys think about that?
So next up, we have Shauna.
Sorry, delay on my screen. I don't know what I think about all of that, although I feel like I'm kind of with you in the sense that we won't know until we know. But I do wonder what you think about like how this is going to impact the civil war, because right now, from what I understand, they're kind of involved in the military coup internally, right? In Iran, there's like a change. If we take out this guy because he's declared incompetent, will that, I guess my concern is if the military coup is effective, then won't that make it harder for us to defeat them later or whatever? Because I feel like in my brain, my bias is that it's easier to take out religious people than it is to take out militaries. Yeah, that's my concern. I guess if by allowing the military coup to come over, it's going to just be harder to fight them. I could be wrong, but that's just a concern that I have. So, I have thoughts.
So I think we need to separate two things. There are different fragments of the Islamic Republic who are fighting against each other, right? And the most important one of that is the IRGC. And you're correct that if they have, if basically they remove the competition and they have the upper hand, they're the main ones that we have to deal with. And if they have control, it will be better for them. But I think what I am suggesting is not just the infighting between the different segments of the Islamic Republic within the regime itself, but the fighting between the regime and the regime supporters, right? So, and how this fragmentation within the regime is making the regime supporters lose faith in the entire system, right? Because whoever is left, even if the coup is successful and the IRGC manages to remove all of its um competition, the thing is that the regime supporters will have no faith in the regime itself. So it's very difficult to see how the regime will be able to maintain, their grip on power if not only they have lost the anti-regime Iranians, but they also have lost the pro-regime Iranians as well. Like, how could you continue ruling if your base of support is getting close to 0%? Does that make sense?
Okay, next up we have Miguel to respond, and then we'll move on to super chats.
Seems like the members of the RGC or like the Islamic regime is trying to derail the idea of the peace deal again, saying that now they're making statements now that the Strait of Hormuz it was never international water. It was actually in the sovereignty of Oman in Iran, and we should have the right to collect tolls and stuff. And which is not part of the deal. It was never part of the deal. It was supposed to be international waters, at least a part of it. And now they seem to want to derail the deal and want to bait us back to engaging in military strikes again. It seems like I'm not entirely sure. I guess maybe you have members of the Islamic regime, or I guess those who might see the writing on the wall, willing to just sign a deal. And then you have, of course, the psychotic hardliners or the generals themselves who don't want to give up and they want to keep fighting, despite the fact they're losing everything. We know that they're out of water, they can't get money, they literally they can't escape the blockade and Scott Besson. Like, those are the two biggest menace to them right now is Besson and the blockade. They can't do anything, and they know it. But they just rather keep going and making statements saying, "Oh, they couldn't destroy us. We still alive and still able to survive the 40-day war that they managed to endure for 40 days." So from just February into April. So it makes you wonder what is up with the regime. It seems like I'm not sure if they're just desperate beyond and is still trying to save face, or I'm not really sure at this point. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, if the Islamic Republic was not desperate, they would just tell President Trump to go fuck himself, right? Like, if they were if they were actually winning the way that they think that they were winning, there would be no negotiation. There would be nothing. They would just be like, no, we're not interested in anything. Let's keep fighting. The blockade is really, really hurting them. Like, they are desperate. I mean, they admit it. They come up position. Like, if you don't have to believe me, you could just go and look at the infighting between regime officials. They're saying, the regime officials themselves, uh saying that they complain about the other part. Like, for example, Pezeshkian comes out and says that if we keep going this way, like if the RGC keeps us forcing us down this path, we're looking at a total collapse. He admits it. They come down and say it out loud. So they need to go big to the Americans to do an MOU. The issue is, how do we do an MOU and sell it to the regime supporters? And here's the thing: Pezeshkian is the only solution that they have. This is what I think they're doing. Um, this is what I think they're doing. They're going to use Pezeshkian as a scapegoat. This might be their solution. The Islamic Republic is here's the narrative. Okay, they should just repeat after me. We were winning, but the president, who is elected by the Iranian people, he had concerns about the economy, and he decided that we have to stop and give in to some of the demands of the Americans for the sake of the economy. This is something that the Supreme Leader did not agree with. This is something that the IRGC doesn't agree with. However, given that the president of the Islamic Republic is chosen by the people and we respect the will of the people, we had no choice but to give in to his demand. Again, this is all bullshit, by the way. Pezeshkian was not elected by the Iranian people. He was handpicked by the Supreme Leader. Also, the president doesn't have any authority or any power within the Islamic Republic. But this works perfectly. I mean, it's not going to work perfectly. A lot of people are not going to be convinced by it, but it's the best you can get. And it's going to get the regime supporters, at least some of them, to go after Pezeshkian instead of the Supreme Leader, right? They're going to be like, it was him, it wasn't us. And they're going to compare it. And I think they're also going to compare it to Imam Ali. I don't know if this is too much religious detail for you guys, if you're interested in the theology of it all. Okay. So Imam Ali, the first Imam of Shia Muslims, according to Shia Muslims, after Muhammad's death, he was supposed to be the leader of the Ummah, the leader of the Muslim community. But the proto-Sunnis at the time, the Sunnis of the time, the people who betrayed Imam Ali, they made Abu Bakr the first Khalifa, and Omar the second Khalifa, and Osman the third Khalifa. And only after going through those three, they came to Imam Ali, who should have from the very beginning been the leader. And when they picked Abu Bakr as the first Khalifa instead of Imam Ali, they came to Ali and told him, like, you need to do something about this. He needs to fight. He's like, I'm not going to do anything unless the people want me to. And then the second Khalif and the third Khalif, I'm only like, I'm not going to rule unless the people really, really want me to. So they're like, just like Imam Ali, our supreme leader, he knows what's right. So Imam Ali, back in his time, he also knew what's right for Muslims, but he doesn't want to force it upon people. So the excuse that they will have for Mushtaba could be that he knows that capitulating to the Americans is wrong. He knows that they were winning the fight against the Americans, but because the Iranian people chose wrong, and our religion teaches us not to force anything upon the people and let the people learn from their mistakes, once, second time, and third time, until they learn from their mistake and then come back and make the right decision. You cannot force this on the people. Yeah, the Iranian people have to learn this from their own mistakes. And this works because now the pro-regime people, instead of saying fuck the regime, some of them were like fuck whoever voted for Pezeshkian. That's what they would say, like redirect the anger.
Okay. Next, the super chats, please.
Oh, super chats, yes. Um, okay, so push-ups with a super chat. Thank you, push-up, saying anyone else long for Trump, for Truman and Reagan? Question mark. Says they'll do something and does it. No mind games. Geez wheeze, those were the days. For Truman and Reagan. I mean, did they say everything? I'm pretty sure like they kept a lot of the things secret, like a lot of their operations against the. I'm pretty sure back in the day there were a lot of mind games and misleading statements as well. I just don't think those parts would be written in history, because now looking back, I don't think like a lot of people would be interested in the details of the misdirections. So that those parts is not going to be the headlines in the history books, right? But I'm pretty sure I'm almost sure they probably included misdirections and mind games back then as well. But I think the interesting parts that we remember are the parts that they defiantly said something and then they did it. That is just more memorable, right? But yeah, I don't know, but I don't know if it's true or not. But I think you should look that up to see if they. I'm I'm almost sure that they had that part of their policies, as part of their. I mean, how could you not? Like if you're dealing, for example, with the Soviets, you probably have to say certain things to misdirect and misinform and confuse your enemy. No? Anybody here a history buff that could tell me that maybe if Reagan and Truman did such a thing? And then we got another super chat from Fleshy Interloper saying Tusi did a good stream on Deal or No Deal. Okay, thank you, Fleshy Interloper. Good to know. Yeah, Tusi is great. And Jew Hater is saying Mr. 100D chess. Yeah, you're not watching my stream. I don't know whose stream you're watching. I'm the person who keeps saying if he does that, it's good. If he doesn't do that, it's bad. So my statements are all conditional. I'm not like 100% saying like even when I showed the statement from the White House, I said if this is what the White House is going to insist on, that's going to be good for us. I didn't come out and say like, oh, Trump always does everything right and there is no doubt and just believe everything that he does. Like that's not me. I said like if these yeah, I mean you heard me say it. I started with if. I said if this is what the White House insists on, then we could this is good news, right? Um yeah, you're not even paying attention to what I'm saying. And then Texas Troop saying, thank you for the Mossad fund contribution. Yes, this Jew hater keeps funding Zionists. Where's my Israeli flag? He keeps coming us and giving us super chats. I'm going to hold my Israeli flag if I get a super chat from him. There, thank you for funding Zionism. And then Sherry with a super chat saying, happy birthday, Armin. My birthday is December 25th, but I appreciate the happy birthday message this early. I appreciate that. Say, I will share my birthday with you. Oh, it's your birthday. You're just sharing it with me. Oh, okay, so happy birthday, Sherry, and thank you for sharing your birthday with me. And then the second Sherry is saying happy birthday as well. Okay, well, thank you. Guys, today apparently is my birthday because Sherry is sharing her birthday with me. That's very sweet. Nobody has ever done that. And Jew Hater again is saying, I missed Armin's 12D chess copium. I will have to rewind and watch back. Oh yeah, that's why you're retarded because you actually assumed that I'm doing the chess piece copium thing without actually watching. Yeah, maybe watch it before you embarrass yourself. And thank you also again for funding Zionism. Ninja Rooster or just Rooster saying he's back with a super chat. Yes, he's back. The Jew hater is back. Guys, yesterday he gave us more than $100 in super chats. This guy love, you know, I love how retarded Jew haters are. They're supporting Zionism while trying to attack it. This is why we're so lucky. You know, most Jew haters are this retarded. I think all of them actually.
My name is Armin Navabi. I'm an Iranian political analyst with decades of experience fighting the Islamic regime inside and outside of Iran. Make sure you follow me for more, and also make sure you join our discussion group. I'm there almost every single day. Come talk to me there and the rest of the people there in our group calls. It's a great place to meet and talk to people who like talking about politics. The link is in the description and or in the bio. You could also get there by scanning the QR code on the screen. See you there.